not want to be recruited? Okay, I'm going to officially call to order the first meeting of the Rotary E-Club of the Carolinas for the Rotary year of 2023-24. And to start the meeting off, instead of a bell, if you happen to find a noisemaker along with your other stuff, at least Greg and I will start off, we'll make it really short so it doesn't hurt your ears, okay? Okay. All right. So yes, to start things off, we're going to have some introductions. And Chad, if you would unmute yourself, would you please? Chad I got sort of started on you, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome?
Well, thanks everybody. Good to be here. I appreciate the invitation. I was a longtime Rotarian in West Virginia, Parkersburg, West Virginia. Actually, a third generation. My grandfather was like a 45-year perfect attendance member. And so as growing up, I was, if you went to visit him on a Tuesday, you went to Rotary at lunch. And so that's something in my life forever. And that's what led me to be a Rotarian. But last summer, I took a new job in Aiken, South Carolina from West Virginia. I'm the Vice President of Academic Student Affairs at Aiken Technical College. And I had previously served at a college in Parkersburg, West Virginia. So that moved me down here, and I've been trying to get adjusted to my work schedule and trying to figure out how to continue being a Rotarian. And so that's what kind of led me to this group. So looking forward to learning more about how you all operate and to continue my Rotary service.
Well, welcome. And I think anybody here, we are a group of incredibly experienced Rotarians. I'm probably the least of the bunch. So anybody here, you have any questions, and I know John also would be a great resource for you. And very selfishly, I think you would really enjoy the flexibility that we offer and not having to pay for lunches, which is kind of cool too. So anyway, glad you're here. I want to introduce Todd Brown, who on my screen is in the upper right. Todd is dialing in from Rio Rico, Arizona, which is just north of Nogales. And Todd was my sponsor when I first joined Rotary in 1994. And Todd and his wife, Roxana, and his family have been just wonderful friends over the years. We've tracked each other through marriages and kids and whatnot. But Todd is, and I'm going to share something here, because Todd to me there's no surprise to me that his club recognized him as the 2022-23 Rotarian of the Year. That's he and his beautiful wife, Roxana. We used to love hiking together down there. And Todd really epitomizes the way I think Rotary needs to be, especially at the club level. And Todd, so I'm going to, I guess, leave that up for a moment, but if you would be willing to share a little bit more about your club particularly, and what it is about your club that makes you special.
I would say our club is like the little club that nobody thinks we can do what we're doing, but we do. We have probably 12 active members. We do above and beyond. Whenever the district governor comes, we do stuff that big clubs don't do. We have like 7 service projects a year. We give out, last year we gave out $6,000 worth of Thanksgiving food baskets. We gave out 75 bicycles at Christmas for the local kids that are 3rd graders and 1st and 2nd graders. We gave a dictionary to every 3rd grader in our school district. We gave out year to date since our high school started in 2000. We've given out $200,000 in Rotary scholarships for college. We send 5 to 6 kids every year to RILA. We do a pasta kitchen once a month where we feed the people at the local food kitchen. What else do we do?
Wow.
It's like, yeah, it's like we're like this club that's like we're 100% Paul Harris Fellows. We've led the district several years in a row in per capita giving. So yeah, we're kind of like this club on steroids that everybody meets us, and Sadly, the district governor came to visit last year and she started talking about things we could do, and we did that. We're doing that. Yeah. And she's like, we're kind of like, maybe you should have done your homework before you came to visit us. So yeah, we're kind of like over the top club. Our main fundraisers, we do a 50-50 raffle each month, and we sell tickets, and then we get about $2,000 in ticket sales each month, and $1,000 goes to our foundation, which is that drives everything, and $1,000 goes to whoever wins the ticket. And I guess we were the first club to have our Valerie Scanlon was the first district governor, and Rotary International came from our club. What else?
Oh, Todd, that is so, I mean, for 12 people, it's a small community. It's still about 5,000 people there in Rio Rico, isn't it? Give or take, or is it grown?
25,000.
Oh my God. Well, okay. I guess I need to catch up.
It's kind of exploded lately.
Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. And Lene, our most recent president, who's there in her RV along with her husband Lance somewhere. I guess he's still filling up gas. But anyway, so she has always said that our club is small and mighty, small but mighty. And I would say small and mighty after listening to you. And we're actually starting the year with 19 members. So no excuses, folks. You're amazing. You're truly amazing. Anyway, I know that you have a club level foundation account. And
Right.
what I'd like to do in your honor and my gratitude for helping me get started on this Rotary journey, I'm going to send you all $100
Thank you.
for your foundation account. So
Thank you.
Ken was interested in the story, and I will tell you that I moved to Rio Rico in 1994 with my family, and I was the district ranger on the Nogales Ranger District for the Coronado National Forest. And I was very interested in getting to know people in the community outside of the Forest Service, because as I've shared a little bit, when you're a big fish in a very tiny pond, it can be actually difficult to socialize and all of that. And so Todd helped me get to know a number of absolutely wonderful people in that community. And Todd, I'm just eternally grateful. So thank you for that.
I should ask, whenever the power goes out, we always think of you.
Well, tell them why. Tell them why.
We live in a rural area, and periodically during the summer or whatever, that all the electricity would go out. So when that happened, we'd either go to their house, which is just down the street, or they'd come to our house, which is surprisingly the same house, just a mirror image reversed. And we would play sardines. And sardines is where one person hides and then everybody else tries to find them. And when the house is completely black, you can hide in plain sight. So one time we spent hours looking for Candace, and she was just sitting at the dining room table and nobody could see her.
Yeah, it was great fun, and almost made me wish the power went out more often. But anyway, Todd, thank you, and give my best regards and love to Roxana too, and all your kids. I love following you all on Facebook. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
I have just a few announcements before we get into Happy Bucks. One is, number one, thank you to Ken and Shirley for reporting and recording the attendance, and to Franca for making sure it gets uploaded into DAC-DB and wherever else it needs to go. I think our attendance, as you know, RI only requires 50%, but we use it to also send links of the recording to folks who couldn't make the meeting, and a number of people have told me that they really do appreciate being able to catch up with the meetings that way if they can't make the meeting on the day. And meetings will be available on Zoom until the Monday following the meeting, and then of course later, after I've edited out some of the stuff, it ends up on YouTube. So district grants were approved. I think a lot of us know this. For 2023, we did get what we asked for the Mary and Martha services to help the Ukrainian refugees. And thank you so much, Franca, for putting that package together, and also for the supplies for the McCormick Elementary School. And Julia, thank you so much for that. And it feels really good to be able to recognize the Teacher of the Year for that school. So just so you know, RI will likely send the checks to the districts in August. And so we can't really spend the money yet because they pay very close attention to when those receipts are dated. So we'll need to make sure we don't proceed with those projects until we actually get the money through the food chain. Now, Beth Paget, our district foundation chair, has encouraged every president to donate to our annual fund share this month. And okay, Franca says her Wi-Fi is wonky today, so it's okay, Franca. We know you're there in spirit. And so I will be donating at least $25 to the annual fund in July, so that Beth can say that we are starting off the year with every club having donated, and at least at that level. And Todd, I think you'll be happy to hear that we also have a very strong tradition of generosity, small and mighty, and we are recognized at the district level for that. December 1st is the foundation celebration and district grant training, and I hope you'll all put December 1st on your calendar, because last year we just had a wonderful time, and I know we will again. Beth last night reported that the district had the second best year for foundation giving ever, $482,000. The first best year for Polio Plus, $169,000. We increased our every Rotarian every year. We increased our sustaining members, and we had the most ever major donors. So we are not only a small and mighty club, we are a small and mighty district. And I'm just really proud to be part of this district. Rotary Leadership Institute. Has anybody not been to some level of RLI? Okay, all right, then I'm speaking to the choir. There are 2 sessions coming up in person, and then also one that the Zone 3334 offers online. So if it's something that if you're partway through and you want to finish up, or if you know somebody that you want to recommend for that, let me know. We have another program scheduled for the coming year. Ken and Julia and I are meeting Thursday to go over our plans for October through December. And we're going to be encouraging every member to come up with at least one speaker outside of our club. So keep that in mind. And Lene, the July bulletin newsletter, news and notes, was incredible. Just, I love the way you've reformatted it. I love all the contributions that people made, and you're a rock star. I will say that you may have noticed there was a member spotlight, and there are only 11 more chances in the coming year for you to have your member spotlight. So be sure to let Lene know when you want to be featured in upcoming news and notes, okay? And I want to applaud Shirley, because she's already gotten a head start on the Super Club Bowl Challenge by completing some 4 courses in the Learning Center. So she has already made a first and perhaps a second touchdown. So thank you, Shirley, for that. Okay, any other announcements? Surely I missed something. Julia? No? No? Okay, all right. I like you without the background. But did you spend New Year's Eve in Mardi Gras in New Orleans, possibly?
No, this was our fundraiser theme a couple years back. Okay. And I have to say that every time I move, the bells ring. So you probably can't hear them, but they're right by my ears.
Okay. Let's see. So we are going to go into some happy bucks now. What I would like to do first is have everybody actually look at the camera. We're going to take a screenshot. You realize how hard it is to get a screenshot of everybody, you know, without seeing the top of their head. So anyway, here we go. On the count of 3, I'm going to take a little screenshot. And Greg, if you'd back me up too, that'd be great. So 1, 2, 3. All right. That's a good Happy New Year shot. And thank you, Franca, for getting back in there. So we'll go with happy bucks, and either raise your real hand or the little hand thing. We've got either one. So Greg,
I got a happy bucks. Happy bucks to our new president. Congratulations. And also to all the other wonderful members of our group. It's one of the best clubs I think I've seen. And I've also been a Kiwanian, so I can say that this is probably one of the better ones. So anyway, congratulations. Happy bucks to everybody.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Diana.
Happy bucks for certainly Todd and his wonderful explanation of his club. They are, as you say, small but mighty, but we know who's the better club of them all. But anyway, also happy bucks to Chad. We're delighted that you're with us today, and I hope we'll find your face on the screen on a regular basis moving forward. And of course, last but not least, happy bucks to Candace and her new administration, and all the best in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Alberto.
Well, better first if I unmute myself, right?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
I hope.
So my happy bucks actually are for the wonderful trio. Candace, you're gonna have a great year. We're so glad to have you here. Lene, you've been fantastic. You're wonderful. So, and you do a fantastic job on newsletter. And Julia will be right behind Candace. So also for you, there are some happy bucks.
Thank you. Well, it's going to be a wonderful year for our leadership because of everybody in the club. And we are starting stronger than we ever have. And it's because of you all. So thank you. I think John raised your hand. Welcome back from Vacation Bible School. I hope you have survived all the little kidlets that you, I think he was still here.
It's only day 2 out of 5.
Oh, bless your heart.
So I'm
Ooh,
thankful that I'm
almonds.
still here. I've never worked with young kids from age 3 to 9. I've done so much with middle school kids and junior achievement, where there's a very different discipline. And I think they understand that better and a little more appreciating the wisdom of the person in front of them. I mean, I'm tired already. I'm really tired with these young kids, but I'll make it through every day. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm so happy that Chad's with us today. Chad, welcome. My happy buck to welcome you. Chad knows I went to college in West Virginia and started my career there. So we have some fond memories of West Virginia days that a little bit we've already chatted about. So welcome to our club.
And John, I know you and June, your wife, are a wonderful team, and I'm sure this will be a Bible school that they don't forget. It is a real gift of service to hang out with 3- and 4-year-olds all
I told the leader that by day 2, she might need to separate us, but we're doing okay.
Are you saying you have different philosophies managing young kids?
No, just, the first day was a little tense, which is normal, I guess, with Vacation Bible School. And there's just certain things in life we see differently, but by day 2, we were fine.
Thank you for sharing that.
54 years of marriage, what do you expect?
Well, you take the bumps and then you move on, right?
That's right.
Lene. Okay, you are on mute. There you go.
Yes, thank you so much. First of all, I want to say welcome to Todd and welcome to Chad. Todd, thank you so much for the wisdom of getting Candace into Rotary, and we certainly are reaping the benefits of that. Chad, welcome to South Carolina. Welcome to the South Carolina Technical College system. I retired out of that system. Please say hello to your boss, Forrest, for me. He knows me well. I know him, so would love for you to give a personal greeting from another Rotarian to him. That would be wonderful. And of course, Candace, so excited for you. I woke up this morning. I remember how it felt for that first meeting. And you have certainly hosted other meetings, but this being your first official one, we're all happy for you. We're happy for our club. And as so many of support you and make you even better. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other happy bucks?
I am.
Todd. Okay.
Good.
Todd, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'll have to Zoom this or Zillow it or whatever, Venmo it to Candace. But the other day I have a 5-year-old granddaughter and she lives a little bit north of us. And so the other day she was asking her mother, Mama, how come what do these gray hairs come from? And so she said, well, you know, every time you make me sad, one of my hair turns gray. And her eyes got real big and she said, what did you do to Grandpa?
That's a
great.
good one. That's a good one. I don't know, Todd. I think you look very distinguished. I wouldn't change a thing. All right, Ken.
Yes, I am happy bucks. I'm delighted to see Todd and hear how a small club can be incredible. And what I really want to know is, how do you pull off jokes every week? Because that has been a difficult task from what I've seen in Rotary over the years. So thanks for your role model. Our club is trying to do the same thing in virtual reality here. So thanks for being the sponsor for Candace, because sponsors are your friend for life.
Indeed they are. Indeed they are.
There is a way that Rotary clubs tell jokes. I don't know if you've heard this one, but one time a person was visiting and one of our members got up and said 32 and everybody laughed. And have you heard this? Somebody else got up and said 45 and everybody laughed. And the new visiting person said, I don't understand what's going on. And he said, well, we've all been friends for so long and we all know the jokes. So to save time, we just say a number and everybody knows what joke it is. So the new member said, well, can I try? We go, sure. And he stood up and he goes, 45. And it was just complete silence. And he sat down and he goes, I don't understand. And we said, well, you know how it is. Some people can tell a joke and others can't.
Oh, Todd, that's great. I will share that I do fall into the latter category. I have read and been instructed that self-deprecating jokes tend to be more successful to pick on yourself, and so I'll try to do that rather than the other kind. Like your example was perfect about your granddaughter. So she's a smart young lady. Is she Sarah's daughter?
Yes.
Yeah, nice, very nice. Okay, anybody else have anything happy bucks that they'd like to share? No hands up. Oh, Julia. Oh, unmute.
Okay, all right. So I'm happy today for Candace because it's very exciting to run your first meeting and actually be in charge. And, you know, we're all there behind you. And I'm also amazed at how many of us are wearing Rotary blue today, just randomly, that we look like we tried to plan that. I'm happy today because the Humane Society that I've been working with for over a year actually cut me my first check today because they're going to pay me as a contractor for some of my work. Now, I'm still doing hours of volunteer work, but for my actual like doctor time, they're going to pay me a little stipend each month, which is hopefully going to allow me to not have to work so much in other places and have a little more time going forward for both the Humane Society and for Rotary. So it was a lot of work to convince them of that, but anyways, so I'm hoping that my schedule will start to rearrange here over the next year or so.
Congratulations. That's always, I know you've been trying to keep all
I'm
kinds
trying to
of
keep the
balls in
balance
the air
a little
lately.
bit.
To my knowledge, you haven't dropped any of them.
I know, right? The Jester thing's going, so.
But do
Yeah.
keep up those really interesting photos you share on Facebook.
Be
of-
careful what you ask for.
I know. She's she
I've
works
got
as a
some great
veterinarian, and
photos.
sometimes her posts get slightly organic.
I know. And it looks like Barbara just joined us. So welcome, Barbara.
Okay, you are on mute. We're really happy to see you today. I'm glad you could make it. I know that you had some appointments this morning, and we're trying to get back in time. So we're very grateful you could be here. Do unmute if you wanted to share something with us. Oh, let's see. I don't want to miss what she's saying. I'm going to ask her to unmute here.
There.
There you
Thank
go.
you so much. I'm really having challenges this morning, but so glad to be with you all.
Very glad you're here. And just so everybody else knows, Barbara did submit her application for membership, and at the board meeting following this meeting, we will be reviewing that. And Barbara, look forward to hearing from us real soon. So we're very excited.
Board members should have received that in an email yesterday.
In that regard, my happy buck, aside from just being honored to be here, really, Todd, I did, even though this is my 4th Rotary Club, and it's been 29 years since I joined Rotary, I have shared with them that I think I was just waiting for the right club, and this is it. So it's, yeah. So I expect a lot of the folks here feel the same way. I was going through the news and notes and realized that there were 5 members who joined Rotary in July, which may have made the outgoing membership chair very sad.
It did. It did.
But looks like we're about to continue the tradition, which sorry, Diana, but congratulations to John. Looks like we'll have at least one new member in July. But the ones who joined, let's see, Julia is celebrating 19 years, and Franca and Alberto are celebrating 13 years in Rotary. Diana 16 and Julie 3. So congratulations to everybody. I'm going to be sending in happy bucks on that. That's really cool.
Candace, if I can interrupt just 1 second. Julie has actually been in Rotary a lot longer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So no, that came out of that DD, and so we're going to work on getting that fixed. When she was uploaded, I think there was a mistake made. This was a couple of years ago. And Julie, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I know it's way more years than 3. So if you can use fingers or whatever, let us know. I know that we appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to.
No, that's very important. Thank you so much, Lene. And Julie, please accept my apologies. Well, oh, smiling face with 3 hearts. Okay. Thank you for your forgiveness. What I'm going to do next, and if your bandwidth is limited, this could be difficult. So I just share that caveat up front. But our Rotary International President, Gordon McAnally, has shared a, let's see, here we go, a very short video. If you can't view it, let's see, there we go, there's that, yes. He shared this quote recently. Actually, I think it just came out in one of the district newsletters, but I think it's right on target. And he says, and I won't begin to try to replicate his absolutely lovely, lovely, beautiful accent. As we begin this journey together, I take inspiration from Scotland's national poet, Robert Burns, who in the 18th century spoke of all the world becoming kin, promoting sense and worth over all the earth. This has long been my call to action, and I share it now with you. Let us build peace within and spread it freely. Let us create belonging and imagine the future of Rotary afresh. let us work together joyously as we create hope in the world. And it may or may not come up as an option to play.
These are our plans for the year ahead. That we help bring peace to the world and soothe those afflicted by conflict. And that we help each other and our communities deal with our own internal struggles, and that we end the stigma associated with asking for help. In all these actions, the goal is to create hope, to help the world heal from destructive conflicts, and in turn to help us achieve lasting change for ourselves. Rotary helps create the conditions for peace, opportunity, and a future worth living. By continuing what we do best, by remaining open and willing to change, and by keeping our focus on building peace in the world and within ourselves, Rotary creates a more peaceful world, a more hopeful world. And so, as Rotary leaders from all the regions, I urge you to create hope in the world. Thank you very much. These are our plans for the...
Interestingly, just yesterday, I saw an opinion piece in the Washington Post, and it talked in part about the impact of hope on economics, actually, and social structure. But I was struck by this after listening to that speech. Hope is summoned so often in speeches and sermons that invoking it invites the very cynicism and resignation that is meant to answer. The word can seem to be a crutch to get past some unpleasantness, a deus ex machina contrived to move humanity from a terrible here to a delightful there with no effort, discipline, or commitment. But hope is a demanding virtue, not a sunny disposition. It accepts reality and acknowledges obstacles. And it gives us the strength and determination to overcome them. And I think that really sums up what hope means for Rotary, which is that it's not just a nice thing that makes us feel good. Rotarians put all of that to work to give other people hope, to give ourselves hope. What gets us up in the morning? Oftentimes, with many of us, I think what gets us up in the morning is the opportunity to serve. It's getting me up in the morning, especially when I have to plan the next meeting. but it is a practical thing. It's not a feeling. It's a virtue. It's a choice that we make, and I know together that's what we're going to do. So this is sort of a fun part. I hope that you can see this. There again, if your bandwidth is limited, I apologize. It's only a couple minutes long. So, how many of you were actually able to view that? Several? Oh, good. Okay. I know perhaps the sound wasn't there, but so the reason I shared this is that in the end of 1999, the world was not actually a really hunky-dory place. There was a lot going on in the Middle East and elsewhere. And yet, and if you recall, we were also very concerned that the entire cyber world was going to crash around our ears, Y2K, you know, and even though some of the computer nerds swore that we were a year early technically, but everybody went, oh, you know, our computers are not going to know what day it is and everything's going to crash. And so it didn't, of course. And yet, in spite of those fears, everybody around the world still went, hey, you know, new millennium, we can do this. And I just loved that feeling of knowing that we can do this and celebrate and look forward with and be there together for each other. So that was I've been keeping that DVD for years. Finally got it digitized, and then the other day realized I could just download it from YouTube. Duh. Without any trouble at all. So you know, live and learn. So that's sort of the kickoff to a little homework assignment I gave folks. And it doesn't have to be very elaborate, or it can be, you know, whatever kind of story you want to share. But I'd be really curious to hear anybody's New Year's story that was particularly inspiring or meaningful to them. So, John,
I'll be happy to go.
Somebody actually going first, yay.
Yep. As most of you know, not all, but June and I have been to Chile 10 times. And 7 of those was on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day over those years. And those are the absolute fondest times. First and foremost, because of Chileno families that we're with over those years. The first one was in 1977, 78. The last one was in 2018, 19. Several of those are in a location that Lance and Lene know, because their cruise ships came in and out of there. Ricardo took you there, is the major port of Valparaiso in Viña del Mar and some other municipalities. And on New Year's Eve, it is the largest fireworks display I have ever seen. The vantage point looking over the ocean. But what's more significant is the tradition. They celebrate, and it's already New Year's Day, and then you're sitting down to a big meal after midnight. And it may go on until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. The first time, very large extended family. at Ricardo's home in what was called the El Comedor Grande, the grand dining room. There must have been 40 people, all family. The other part of tradition there is that as you share that evening in the new year, is you go right around the table and everybody shares their reflections from the year that has just ended, what we learned, what were the high points, what were the low points. And then beyond that, your expectations, I'm going to use the word hope, for the very next year. And it's a very powerful moment. That's what keeps you up until 5 a.m. The last time we were there, that's about the time we went to bed in Viña del Mar with our Chileno son and his family. So those are the fondest memories of New Year's for us.
Thank you, John. That's, I think talking about your hopes for the coming year is so powerful, and sharing that aloud with your friends and loved ones. Like the best non-New Year's resolution you could have. So thank you for that. Anybody else? Julia.
So when I think of New Year's, kind of thinking about that holiday, you know, compared to some of the other holidays for us as a kid, growing up in Alaska, 4th of July wasn't, I mean, it was barbecues and family and fun, but because it was daylight, fireworks weren't, we did more of the like firecrackers and things that were loud, but we didn't do the big displays because you don't see them. So New Year's Eve, when there's snow everywhere, so nothing's going to catch on fire, New Year's Eve was always our big fireworks thing. And so we would buy fireworks in July when the stands were selling them, and then we would all save them until New Year's Eve. But then because it's wicked cold and we'd be out there in the snow, we would use a blowtorch to light the fireworks. And so I have these pyrotechnic memories with and it was just my brother and I and my mom and dad, and, you know, sometimes, you know, a couple other people, but it was really my brother and I and, you know, a flamethrower. But so, yeah, it's kind of one of those things that just makes me think of cold and winter and, you know, dark. And so New Year's was always kind of this big, bright display. So just kind of my fun memory.
Wonderful. Did you ever have the Northern Lights keep you company during the festivities?
They do, because when it's really cold is when the Northern Lights like to come out. So I feel like it's nature's way of giving you a little bit of something for toughing it out. Like you'd go out to feed the horses and it'd be super cold and 6 in the morning, and then the Northern Lights would be out and you're like, just, you know, it makes it worth getting up and going out in the cold. So yeah, that was one of the things that makes the cold worth it.
Thank you for that, Julia. Anybody else? Shirley.
We would always have a party on New Year's Eve, and we'd party till about 3 in the morning. And then we get in the car and drive to Pasadena. We sit on the curb and wait for the Rose Parade to start. And we could, because it was half an hour away from us. It was always, the Rose Parade is so beautiful, all the flowers and the floats and the, you know, but it was always so cold. You don't think of LA as being cold, but it was cold there. So you always had your thermos of coffee or hot chocolate or something to keep you going, you know, but it was really fun.
So you basically stayed up for 2 days then, or you probably had a really good nap when you finally got home after the parade.
We were young, we could do that.
It does change over time.
It sure does.
Did you ever see the Rotary float in the parade?
Every year they had one. It was usually the last float.
Wonderful.
Actually, I'd like to just comment on that. In those days, in the late 50s is when we were at the Rose Parade. And my job was to find the perfect spot on the curb where the TV cameras were showing all of the parade, because everybody would put on their best performance in front of the cameras. So my job was to find the place on the curb where all the cameras were pointed, and it was cold, I remember, and no place selling coffee. So it was a happy memory. And just so that you know, Rotary started having a float in the Rose Parade in 1980. So we always wonder, why did we never know what Rotary was when we were growing up? Because, you know, Rotary has been the greatest thing for our lives since we discovered Rotary. So I just want to remind everybody to just never hesitate to tell somebody about Rotary.
Thank you, Ken. That's a wonderful reminder. Alberto, you had your hand up there.
Yes, I did. So our happy and fun memory, speaking of a Happy New Year, in 1996, Frank and I been dating for just a few months and decided to spend New Year's Eve in Vienna. And so we went there, and it was like really, really cold, like -6 or -10 most of the time. But we really enjoyed dancing waltz in the streets of Vienna on New Year's Eve, right in front of the St. Stephen Cathedral, and drinking champagne while dancing. And it was there was so many people, and the dancing and so forth, and probably champagne helped a little bit. We didn't feel too cold, but it was a wonderful, wonderful New Year's Eve, and Vienna makes the environment for that perfect, very romantic.
I'm sure it was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
It was wonderful.
Anybody else? Diana?
I think the most memorable New Year's Eve we spent was actually in our home, as we looked out over the Atlantic, and well, we looked out over Magens Bay and then further up the Atlantic. And it was generally a very starry-filled night, and the hotels on the eastern end of the island, which we could see from our gallery, would shoot off fireworks that were just absolutely magnificent. And we were there with our champagne or apple cider or whatever, with our kids for quite a while. And then, of course, when they got older, they were elsewhere. But it was just always such an almost idyllic sight, because it was also either about to be full moon, or it was just so starry, and you could see the planets. It was just magnificent. And the last time we were there, we had no idea that it was going to be the last time. So we, really hold our last New Year's Eve there in fond memories. And coincidentally, about 4 years after we moved from St. Thomas, our then home has been turned into a bed and breakfast, and people can go and obviously enjoy the sights, but also New Year's Eve, I'm sure, is really still spectacular on that deck.
Yeah, I mean, the view just has to be incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other memories, special memories? Okay. Lene, did you raise your hand, or you just
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself just really quick. Lance suggested I tell one story, but I think it's totally inappropriate, and so I would tell another. In 1978, that New Year's Eve was when he suggested get married the next year. So I guess you kind of call that a pre-proposal. So anyway, so 78 was probably the most memorable year for us, because it started us down the road of matrimony.
Thank you. I think you said that was inappropriate. I didn't catch all of it, but I may have to go back and listen to the recording.
No, he wanted me to tell another story.
Okay. All right. Well, I did caution people to try to keep it at least PG, so thank you for that.
Please tell Lance to pay attention to his driving.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've got something, maybe one more. I do have a tiny memory I want to share, but okay, I'll go ahead with it. So this is actually a tribute to mothers everywhere. I was perhaps 4 or 5, and we were living in Chevy Chase, Maryland before we moved over to West Berlin. And the tradition was to go down to the National Mall and look at the fireworks near the Washington Monument. So we went down and got our blankets out, and we're hanging out and everything. And then the minute the fireworks started, which of course are always amazing, and it's still Greg's and my favorite thing to do is to sit at home in the evening in our jammies and avoid all the traffic and the bugs, and sit there and watch the Capitol 4th and then Macy's up in York. But as soon as the fireworks started, and here I was all of 4 or 5, I just freaked out. You know, it was just too much. And my mom took my hand and led me several blocks back up into the city and bought me a big old ice cream cone. And I guess you might have seen the fireworks over the rooftops. I have no idea, but I look back on that now and I go, yeah, I guess I would do the same thing, but oh wow. But I remember that ice cream cone. It was really good. So yay for moms everywhere. You know, what you do for kids or any loved ones, actually. So, Ken, don't worry, we're not going to end early. Todd, I have been schooled by Ken that and this is very relevant and important, is that if people take the trouble to come to a Rotary meeting, it's important to honor that commitment. And so you make full use of the entire hour that you have. And so that's what we're going to do. But I do want to share a little bit about our upcoming meeting, and maybe Julia can also fill us in. Let's see if I can get to the next slide here. There we go. Okay, so next week, Steve Black from California, Pleasant Hill, California, I think, right, Julia, is going to tell us about the Rotary Beer Fellowship. And Julia, do you want to fill us in any more on that?
So he's going to talk a little bit about the history of beer. I'm sure it's going to be kind of a random discussion about beer, and Steve is pretty entertaining. He was district governor a few years back, but during his year, he started it's called Brew Fellowship. So of all the Rotary fellowships that have different things like the flying and the traveling fellowships and the RVing fellowship, his brew is Beers Rotarians Enjoy Worldwide. And so he's just going to talk a little bit about some fun facts of beer, and welcomes you to have some beverage available to enjoy while he's talking about it. We actually were really fortunate being near UC Davis that during, well, he came and talked to our club a couple times because one of our club members was in the Budweiser. He owned a Budweiser franchise. And so, of course, beer was a big joke in our club on different things. But there's a guy at UC Davis that comes and does these talks about beer. And he's very entertaining. And so the year that Steve Black was district governor, he was actually at our district conference to give a talk about beer. And it was at the Sierra Nevada Brewing Company was where we held our evening thing, happened to be where the conference was. So all of this kind of came together for Steve to form the Beer Fellowship, the Brew Fellowship. But Charlie Bamforth from Davis actually came to our club, and usually he does evening talks and then people have beer to drink. And so I had told him, you know, we are a breakfast club and most of us are going to work, but maybe we could share little shot glasses of beer. And so I had asked him what beer was the best beer for breakfast if you were thinking of morning beer. And Hefeweizen was the answer he gave. And then, you know, you could eat it with fruits and vegetables. And so fruits. And so I had some oranges and some Hefeweizen and little shot glasses. And while he was talking, he gave us a lecture on the different beers that you drink with different things. And anyway, so that was our beer for breakfast. And so I hope that Steve will be entertaining with this. I'm looking forward to his program, and looking forward to you guys invite someone to share some beer with you. So
All right. Thank you so much, Julia. And I'm already giving thought to which beer I'm going to bring. There are a number of options. So, and I'm sure Steve will be able to give us background on each of the ones we bring.
Yes.
Thank you. And by the way, Todd, if you're around next Tuesday at 3 p.m., feel free to join us, or any of your club members. This is wide open. So, we'll move on to the Little Free Library tribute. And this is something that most of you know we've been doing now for at least a couple of years. And generally we honor the speaker of the day with a book, and that goes into a Little Free Library somewhere. Since we are all over the upstate of South Carolina, we've been feeding these into Little Free Libraries all over the place. But Lene, our immediate past president, has been gracious enough to offer to continue selecting the books for this program. And Lene, I'd love for you to share why you selected the book.
Sure. Well, it's certainly not to say that we're going to all quit and not work for you, but the day the crayons quit just really offered a chance to see how important teamwork is. The little boy Duncan opens his crayon box and finds that they're just not willing to color anymore. Beige is tired of playing second fiddle to brown. Blue needs a break from coloring all the water. And red is infuriated that he has to color Valentine's, Christmas, and everything else. So it's a humorous way of looking at the fact that teamwork really does go together. And we really do have to respect what each one of us do. And we have to really kind of pull together to help it come along. It's a great little humorous but insightful children's book. And I just thought it was as cute as could be and wanted to offer it for our launch of the new year.
That's perfect. I thank you so much. I think each of us is actually just stretching ourselves as we move into either continuing our roles with the club or taking on new roles. And there's no reason why anybody needs to be in a box or why the green crayon has to keep coloring the grass in the picture. So thank you. That's perfect. Thank you so much. Are there any other announcements or anything somebody would like to share before we go into the 4-way test? Okay, then we will do this together. And I will not say first, second, third, or fourth. We'll just say the phrases so that people don't get confused. I will start with, if you would unmute, please. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the
truth?
That's
Is
fair
it
to
fair
all
to all
concerned,
concerned?
Will it build
goodwill
and
and
better
friendships, and
Will it be
beneficial to all concerned?
concerned. All right. And here's our bell. All right. So Todd, what do you, oh, yay, Arizona. Big ASU fan. We didn't talk much about Arizona State down there near Nogales. It was all
Arizona, not Arizona State.
right. Exactly. Yeah.